Hey everyone, Tactics here, and we've got a ton of exciting info today regarding the next major content, patch 10.1, the Embers of Neltharion. We did also get a date for 10.0.7 today as well. That's going to be coming on March 21st, so just a couple short weeks away, but not really going to be talking about that because we've got all this 10.1 stuff to jump into. So I'll be covering everything that we currently know about the patch that's been announced or in one of the multiple dev interviews that have been released as well. And note that I will be covering this entire PTR cycle, providing things like Mythic Plus and raid guides, class tunings, much more over the next couple of months. So be sure that you guys do subscribe to the channel and click on that notification bell to keep up to date with everything that's going on. Now let's hop right into this giant pile of information, and I'm actually going to skip to the bottom of the official Blizzard post here, because right here at the bottom we see what I'm super interested in, the Dragonflight Season 2 Mythic Plus dungeon pool. So right off the top here, we of course have Brackenhide Halls of Infusion, Alderman, and Neltharius, that's known. But in terms of the older dungeons, we've got Freehold and Underrot from Battle for Azeroth, Vortex Pinnacle from Cataclysm, and Neltharion's Lair from Legion. Now, there's a lot of interesting things to talk about here. Let's start with Vortex Pinnacle. So I guess the whole we're not going to pick dungeons that occurred before MOP thing is out the window now, which is interesting to see. I think Cataclysm does have quite a few potentially good Mythic Plus dungeons in it, so it's nice to see that they're willing to go further back than Mists of Pandaria now, and I think that this could be especially good if they put a lot of work into this dungeon, because of course there is still going to be some dated things in that dungeon. They did a decent job with something like the Mists of Pandaria Temple of the Jade Serpent that we saw in the first season, and Shadow Moon as well, an okay job, but hopefully with the other three dungeons in this pool being dungeons that were already part of Mythic Plus, they can spend a lot of time to make Vortex Pinnacle a good Mythic Plus dungeon. Speaking of that, right? Underrot and Freehold. So Freehold, big fan favorite. Underrot, one of my personal favorites. So I'm a big fan of these two being added in the pool. Neltharion's Lair is just kind of whatever to me, but I don't think it's a terrible dungeon. I don't think it's a fantastic dungeon. So overall, I'm actually pretty excited about this dungeon pool. I think it's going to be, we've got the fan favorites. Hopefully the consistent tuning that we saw in Season 1 is a thing for Season 2 as well, because obviously, you've got Brackenhide Halls of Infusion that are a bit of outliers maybe. Vortex Pinnacle, of course, could be a problem. Maybe some things from these other Mythic Plus dungeons just didn't scale quite as well into modern Mythic Plus, right? So hopefully they continue that whole process of iterating often, and I think we'll have a fantastic Season 2. Now, there is going to be some pretty significant affix changes in Season 2 that they've announced, so first and foremost, there's actually going to be no seasonal affix in Season 2. So Thundering will go away, and at the level 10 key level, there will be no affix. So you will only have the level 4 and the level 7 affixes on top of your Fortified or Tyrannical rotation. No level 10 seasonal affix. Personally, I actually did enjoy seasonal affixes. I know Thundering, the most recent one, is not really a great one, but I don't want to let recency bias kind of tilt that to the side and kind of say we should just get rid of them entirely, because I think a lot of seasonal affixes did very good things for Mythic Plus, right? You had namely in my most recent affix video, I talked about both Awakened and Encrypted, which made dungeons better, right? Those affixes just made dungeons feel way better. And there's also some mediocre ones, right? There were some bad ones, of course, but I think in general Blizzard has a pretty high success rate with seasonal affixes, and I'm a little sad to see them go away. That being said, they did say that they are looking to heavily rework the level 7 affix row. That's going to be Grievous, Quaking, Volcanic, Storming, and Explosive. So they are taking a hard look at that affix row, which I think is good. I think affixes have been a little bit stale for sure. What I do hope is that maybe they bring some Kissed Curse or positive affix to the level 7 row. I think that would be really great. I'm not too hopeful that they're going to do that, but at the very least, them looking at it is a good start. And, maybe they change their mind on the whole seasonal. Maybe Season 2 is a bit of an experiment and they decide to go back to the seasonal in Season 3, but overall, kind of mixed feelings with that affix decision there. Next, let's talk about the raid a little bit here. So, of course, new tier sets, of course, we'll talk about that in a second, but basically it's called Aberrus, the Shadowed Crucible. This is going to be a 9-boss raid, so just one more than the current tier, and they are sticking with the normal Heroic and Mythic launch being the same week, just like in Season 1. As a Mythic Raider, I'm not really sure I'm too happy with that decision. I kind of liked the whole like buffer week personally, but maybe some people felt differently. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about that. And some of the dev interviews as well, they talked a little bit about loot. They are going to be talking a bit more about that later on, maybe later this week or next week, and I will have a video on that, so stay tuned for that. But basically, they said very rare items were a success. They liked the eye level staggering of the different bosses in the raid, and they're going to be keeping that moving into this raid. They also talked a little bit about the revival catalyst, saying that players have kind of had the idea of tier changing where it's no longer a stretch goal. It's more of a, I need this to feel complete. And so they're potentially working that into the revival catalyst. We'll wait and see what that involves, but hopefully that means an earlier catalyst and better bad luck protection in some way. On the topic of tier, we did briefly scroll by them here. We have some of the tier sets, mythic and heroic sets looking here. Notably, I think Priest is looking pretty sick, not gonna lie to you. Big fan of that one. When it comes to power level, they've said that the goal here for these tier sets is to be stronger than the tier sets in Season 1 of Dragonflight, but not be at the same level as the tier sets in Season 3 of Shadowlands. So kind of something in between that if you're looking at power level and impact, because they really want people to get rid of their Season 1 tier. As you saw me briefly scroll past, dragon riding is getting some updates. There's like new passive abilities, and there's an entirely new form of dragon riding mount here, the Winding Slither Drake, kind of inspired a bit from the Cloud Serpents back in Mists of Pandaria, and of course tons of new customizations across the board for all of the other dragon riding mounts as well. So I guess we're just going backwards here in this post. Let's scroll up a little bit. What do we got here? The new zone. Okay, so there is going to be a new zone, Zerelek Caverns, I believe it is. And so this is going to be underground, accessible from like Valdrassus, Azurspan, and Anaran Plains. So no load screen, and it's about a little bit larger than Zereth Mortis, according to them. So pretty interesting, dragon riding friendly. There's a new faction of like mole people. Here they are, the Niffin, I believe they're called. There's like a new world event. Like assault similar to Storms currently, story, all that kind of stuff. Of course, that you would expect a new zone, new rep, all that good stuff. In terms of other things coming in this patch, profession stuff, there is going to be new crafted profession gear recipes, and you're also going to be able to upgrade some of the current recipes. So for example, elemental lariats, you are going to be able to upgrade that to the new current eye level if you want to bring it forward. The other massive announcement in this patch is cross-faction guilds. So yes, you are going to be able to be in the same guild, board, and alliance. I wonder what this is going to do to the Hall of Fame. They haven't actually touched on that quite yet, but we'll wait and see. But that is just a big W here for this patch on its own. On top of that, we have things like UI improvements to the Blizzard default UI, a few new features coming to that. And there's also going to be actually not in this post, but they talked about a new upgrade system kind of unifying everything into a couple currencies, right? There's like, because currently there's like the Storm currency, there's like the crafting raid currency, there's like Valor, and there's too many currencies, what they're saying. And so they're trying to unify all those different forms of upgrade currencies into one kind of set of currencies, which again, I'm assuming they'll talk about in the loot kind of post coming soon, which I'll have a video about as well, so be on the lookout for that. But that's good, just making things simpler and just more straightforward, always good. The other thing, of course, class tuning. Those I think should be in a video that I'll be posting tomorrow, hopefully, but what we know so far is that they are going to be doing a significant amount of class tuning in this patch, they have said, and the only thing they've hinted so far is a Shadow Priest rework apparently is coming. Hopefully, Guardian Druid is on that list too, but I guess we will have to wait until tomorrow to see, but otherwise there is going to be a fair amount of class tuning, so be on the lookout for that video either tomorrow or the day after. But there we have it, guys. That is everything we currently know about patch 10.1. I know I'm super excited for it. How are you feeling? What do you think about the Mythic Plus dungeons and Affix changes? What are you most looking forward to? Let me know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be posting a ton over the next week and the next couple months about patch 10.1 as we get more information about things like class tuning, loot, dungeons, etc. So be on the lookout for all of those videos. I do want to also give a quick shout out here to all of my supporters over on Patreon. I appreciate all that you do. Couldn't do this without you. Otherwise, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.